Welcome back, everyone. This is going to be my new Spider-Man 3 Daredevil video. Comicbook.com is reporting that Charlie Cox just finished filming his scenes on the set of the Spider-Man 3 movie within days of Kevin Feige doing a huge round of interviews about bringing back the Marvel Netflix characters in the MCU. So we'll break it all down, but if you're a big supporter of the Save Daredevil campaign, it sounds like that totally worked because it now sounds like Daredevil has been saved and will show up in new MCU projects and Disney Plus series. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the videos. There's still going to be a bunch of Spider-Man 3 stuff happening. They're filming the movie for a while now, but the Marvel drought is finally over. We have new WandaVision episodes, Falcon and Winter Soldier episodes coming really soon, so we're doing a giveaway for Disney Plus memberships. All you have to do to enter is be a subscriber and let me know where you want to see Daredevil show up in all the different Marvel Phase 4 movies and Disney Plus series. I'll name a winner at the end of this too. But recently, Spider-Man 3 went back to filming outdoors, so that's how people found out about Charlie Cox apparently. People were getting pictures and set videos of the scenes. Apparently, according to comicbook.com, Charlie Cox was spotted on set filming scenes, then presumably left, which is why I think everyone is saying that he's done filming his scenes. Because comicbook.com was reporting that it was just Charlie Cox filming scenes, they didn't say anything about him wearing his Daredevil costume. It sounds like this is all legit. He'll just be in the movie briefly for cameos as Matt Murdock, lawyer, but not so much as Daredevil. But I would be blown away if he cameoed as Matt Murdock and they didn't reference something or have some dialogue or jokes about him being Daredevil during the film. Tom Holland's version of Peter Parker wouldn't know that Matt Murdock is Daredevil inside the MCU, but Matt Murdock obviously would have heard all the news reports and seen all the news, the dailybugle.net, J. Jonah Jameson screaming about Peter Parker being Spider-Man. That would make sense. I think that when the Daredevil Spider-Man 3 rumors about him showing up in the movie started last year, most of us just assumed that it would be a minor cameo scene, and it would just be Marvel's way of saying, hey, this character from the Marvel Netflix shows will continue inside the proper MCU projects. Back when Marvel and Netflix canceled the Daredevil series, the Marvel people announced that Daredevil would be back. This was not the end of the character, so it was just a matter of time before they announced a new Daredevil project. The real question at the time was just what it would be. Would he show up in a new series? Would he show up in the MCU movies? So it sounds like Kevin Feige always had some plans for the future of the character. The reason why they probably haven't talked about it sooner, because they have all the Marvel Disney Plus series spinning up. Those characters are a natural fit for those kinds of series. Mostly has to do with the cooling off period in Marvel's contract with Netflix. It stated that if they canceled any of the Marvel Netflix shows, Marvel had to wait a couple years before they could turn around and use those characters again in new MCU projects. And I believe that the time limit for Daredevil was up around October last year, right around the time they started filming Spider-Man 3. So everyone was like, now Daredevil can show up again and stuff. Daredevil and Spider-Man have a long history in the comics. They've both worn each other's costumes to help each other out. If you watch the 90s animated Spider-Man series, it's a total classic. All the episodes are on Disney Plus. They did a bunch of big Spider-Man Daredevil crossover episodes of that. If you remember way back to The Amazing Spider-Man 2, that movie was intended to set up Amazing Spider-Man 3, just a direct sequel, but also a Sinister 6 franchise, so they were going to do a Sinister 6 movie that would have been separate from Amazing Spider-Man 3. Talk about Daredevil Easter eggs. Drew Goddard, the person that created the Daredevil Netflix series for Marvel, was also going to do those Sinister 6 movies for Sony. It's like 6 degrees of separation, only instead of Kevin Bacon, it's Daredevil and Spider-Man. Daredevil is one of the other most popular New York City-based superheroes in Marvel Comics. Spider-Man travels all over New York City in the MCU, the Tom Holland version of Spider-Man. It would make sense that they'd eventually run into each other as vigilantes, but also because Matt Murdock is an attorney that helps defend superheroes. We all thought that he could logically be part of the storyline where Spider-Man has to clear his name after being framed and doxxed by Mysterio. The interview that Kevin Feige did this past week about bringing Daredevil back and the Marvel Netflix characters is priceless too. You have to watch his reaction when the Collider guys ask him specifically about Charlie Cox coming back. This is pretty funny.
Is there any chance that Charlie Cox could be back as Daredevil? Or do you consider what happened with Netflix almost like an alternate universe?
You know, I look at anything that has happened before, whether it's our movies, whether it's Marvel Entertainment TV series, in particular, obviously the comics, video games, cartoons, all of it is available as inspiration for the future of Marvel. That's the way the comics have worked for 80 years. So we'll see.
Got it. I think a lot of people really loved Charlie in that role and are hopeful that he can find a way back.
That's just like a small part of it, but when he's asked about how they're treating the Marvel Netflix shows from a continuity perspective, are those in an alternate universe? Are they part of the MCU? He says that anything is fair game, pretty much, from the Fox movies to the video games to the comics, any of the TV shows, which also includes the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. stuff. But I think when it comes to that stuff, it's just a case-by-case basis. But usually what you'd say is that if one of the characters comes back from a show or a video game or something like that, then technically by association, it's all canon. Like even if Daredevil and Jessica Jones are the only actors who come back from the Marvel Netflix shows to play their characters in future MCU projects and they recast the new Iron Fist, per se, technically the events of all the Marvel Netflix series are still canon, but they'll just come up with some clever way of explaining why Iron Fist looks different, but Daredevil and Jessica Jones don't. Then Kevin Feige doubles down on it with all that head nodding like, just you wait, is about as close as you can get to saying that it's confirmed Daredevil is coming back in the MCU without him literally speaking the words, because obviously they're not ready to make that announcement yet. The other news about Daredevil showing up in new Marvel Phase 4 projects would be in the She-Hulk series next year. That's going to be 10 episodes long, and right now people think that it's going to premiere around this time next year. They said that there would be a lot of surprise MCU character cameos, both heroes and villains, because Jessica Walters, She-Hulk, primarily is a lawyer defending superheroes in court. So it sounds like that's where a lot of those surprise cameos will be happening, and supposedly the series will be set around the New York City area, because so much of the MCU on Earth happens in and around the New York City area. It just makes it a lot easier for Matt Murdock and Daredevil to pop up in those episodes. And after that, it's always possible they could do a full season of a new Daredevil Disney Plus series, but I think short term, it's more likely that Daredevil cameos in other people's movies and Disney Plus series, as both lawyer Matt Murdock and vigilante Daredevil by night. I would love to see Kingpin come back in a future Spider-Man movie. Vince D'Onofrio has talked about that a lot in the past. He says he doesn't expect to come back, but he would love to do it. They'll be making Spider-Man movies till the end of time, so it's probably just a matter of time before Kingpin shows up in an MCU project. But as far as I know, he's not supposed to be a character in Spider-Man 3. In terms of other Marvel Netflix characters coming back, there was news recently that Jessica Jones was in talks to come back for a cameo during the She-Hulk series as well, because she also works in the legal arena by day, lives in New York City, but I don't know if she'd come back for the same episodes as Daredevil, or if they'd appear together or separately. Mike Coulter has said that he has not had any talks with Marvel about coming back as Luke Cage yet. John Bernthal has also said that he'd love to do more Punisher in the MCU, but I haven't heard anything about Punisher coming back anywhere anytime soon yet. Iron Fist is the only character I'm not expecting to come back from the Marvel Netflix shows. I think if we see a new Iron Fist in the MCU, just right now, based on the direction things are going, it's more likely he'd show up as a character through the future Shang-Chi sequel movies, just because those movies feel like a more natural fit for that Kunlun martial arts mythology. And during all these interviews the past week, Kevin Feige also responded to the Spider-Man 3 rumors about Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, all the Spider-Verse stuff. He said that some of those rumors are true and some of them are false. And what I think he means when he says some of it's true is that yes, they are doing legit Spider-Verse stuff during the movie. Electro from The Amazing Spider-Man 2 and Dr. Octopus from the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man 2 movie have already been confirmed. So yes, I do think they're trying to get Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire themselves to come back as their versions of Spider-Man. That casting news is probably true, but some of those characters are probably not going to be as big a part of the movie as you think they are. Like, a lot of it will probably be smaller scenes, just straight up cameos. And when he says some of the rumors are not true, there have also been wilder rumors about Willem Dafoe coming back as his version of Green Goblin, Emma Stone coming back as Gwen Stacy, even though she is super pregnant right now. If you've seen any of the recent pictures of her, there were rumors about Kirsten Dunst coming back as Mary Jane. There was a new rumor about them trying to get Leonardo DiCaprio to come and cameo as a version of Spider-Man, because at one time he was going to be James Cameron's version of Spider-Man back in the 90s when James Cameron was trying to make a Spider-Man movie before Sam Raimi came in to do the Tobey Maguire movies. And I am sure there's going to be even crazier rumors before we start seeing the Spider-Man 3 trailers and before the movie comes out in December. They rescheduled the Morbius movie till October, but it still seems like Venom 2 is coming out in June and Spider-Man 3 will release in December. Those dates will probably stick, which means we'll probably get that first Spider-Man 3 trailer sometime between the Black Widow movie release in May or the summer with Venom 2. There's been a lot of rumors that they're waiting to lock down a lot of these cameos like Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield before they start promoting the movie in a big way, because of course, if they were going to be in the movie, you would want to put them in all the trailers. Congratulations to the giveaway winner from my last big Marvel video, Andre Henderson. Please email me on the About page of my channel so I can get your contact details. And everyone click here for my Marvel WandaVision Episode 1 and Episode 2 videos, and click here for that brand new Black Panther 2 teaser. Thank you so much for watching, everyone stay safe, and I'll see you in the next video.